Alright, people, now I wanted to get this video out to y'all. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This is cutting through the hype of automation, and I wanted to get y'all an automation video because it's something a lot of people are talking about, especially nowadays. And I think that articles like this bring forth a perspective on the conversation rather than people just throwing around a lot of hype, because that's what you see surrounding automation. You see a lot of hype. You see a lot of people saying what they think is going to happen, but this comes from an expert who's actually in the field. And his what's his name? Andy Botrill. Okay, so we'll go ahead and begin. There's currently a lot of debate swirling around automation, AI, and their future within the workplace. Broadly speaking, there are two prevailing schools of thought on the issue. On the one hand, there are fears that increasing levels of automation will render a growing number of job roles unnecessary, leaving human workers redundant and sparking a worldwide employment crisis. The popular "robots stole my job" argument. All right, now, on the other is a more hopeful vision, and one that's less likely to gain the same kind of traction in national media. This centers around automation enabling humans to focus on the human task that they're best at, the kind of skills that no automation can replace, and shifting rather than moving job roles. Okay. Given I am in the employ of a company that specializes in the automation of financial processes, you'll be surprised what side of the fence I fall on. However, I do to some extent take umbrage with both of these viewpoints. They are, in my opinion, and to different extents, based on an unrealistic vision of not only what exactly human automation entails, but how far along the technological journey we currently are. Robotic processes automation, RPA, is neither a robo-apocalypse nor automated utopia. And I'd like to separate fact from fiction and lay out what it really has to offer for modern business. Okay, now, defining RPA. Okay, the hype, both positive and negative, as I've alluded to above, stems primarily from a level of confusion around what actually constitutes RPA. This isn't surprising, as even within the industry itself, okay, a number of different definitions persist. Take Deloitte, for instance. In its report, the robots are coming, it defines RPA as such. RPA is a way to automate repetitive and often rules-based processes. Software commonly known as a robot is used to capture and interpret existing IT applications to enable transaction processing, data manipulation, and communication across multiple IT systems. Multiple robots can be seen as a virtual workforce, a back-office processing center, but without the human resources. TechTarget, however, has a markedly different view of RPA. Okay, robotic processes automation, RPA, is the use of software with artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning capabilities to handle high-volume, repeatable tasks that previously required a human to perform. Okay, these definitions may appear very similar at first glance, but there are some key differences which feed into the unrealistic expectations around RPA that currently exist. Okay. Hope versus reality. Okay, let's start with the good news. Both the Delia and Tech Target definitions rightly identify that RPA is capable of performing repetitive tasks at high volume. This is at the core of BlackLine's offering, as our solutions automate fiddly and repetitive financial close processes which would normally be performed by finance staff. Okay. What appears in the Delia definition but is lacking from Tech Targets is another key tenet of RPA, its ruthless-based nature. In other words, and to use an IT truism, garbage in, garbage out. Humans set the rules and the automation software performs them. If the rules are wrong, the automation processes are too. The software has no capacity to make a judgment call. It follows orders unquestionably. And I think that's a very important part of this article. It says, if the rules set by the humans are wrong, the automation process is too. The software has no capacity, no capacity at all to make a judgment call. It follows orders unquestionably. And that's one thing I really wanted to talk about, because a lot of these people who talk about this hype with automation, they talk about how these robots are going to be so smart that it's going to replace all humans and all human workers. And it doesn't matter how smart you are as a human, a robot's going to take your job. And that's really not true, because robots are really best at following orders and doing mundane tasks that humans don't want to do. And the idea that robots, have this innate capacity to just take over all human, roles when it comes to, corporate world and business and stuff like that, that's just not the reality. They're really just following orders that humans give them to carry out specific functions and tasks. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue reading. Okay, this is almost over. It's kind of it's a decent sized article, but it's not that long. It's the omission of this key tenet of RPA which, in my mind, opens the floodgates for hype. Tech Target's definition is perhaps here the greatest offender. AI and machine learning are separate technologies to RPA, and although not entirely unrelated, are comparatively in their infancy. AI and machine learning's ultimate goal is to augment human intelligence and one day make judgments based on previous experiences that could look like human interaction. Now that's a key word. It could look like human interaction, but it's not going to be exactly the same thing. It's just basically going off of patterns that humans have already set, and then going off of that to make a determination of what it needs to do. Okay. However, we're a long way off from this. Okay, and that's another thing I've been saying. We're still a long way off from a lot of this stuff. Okay, this stuff isn't going to happen within the next 5-10 years. Okay. You might think Deliot's definition has come out of this analysis relatively clean. However, despite correctly noting the rules-based design of automation, it then goes on to describe a virtual workforce. Given what I've laid out above is the idea of a workforce that's unable to adapt to unforeseen circumstances and will follow incorrect orders unquestionably. An attractive one for business, I'd wager that isn't. Okay, the business challenge of automation. It's important then for business leaders not to fall into the trap of believing automation's panacea to cure all their ailments, as this hype often obfuscates the very real challenges that companies will face when embarking on their automation journey. If companies are not aware of these issues, it can leave them unable to scale their automation programs to the degree they require, resulting in abandonment of implementations and wasted resources. Okay. As with any digital transformation project, unless you know what you want to achieve going in, all you'll achieve is added complexity. Automation is not a one-click fix and requires changes to processes and the training of staff in how to manage and interact these new ways of working. Okay? Business leaders need to recognize that automation is a slow build that needs to be driven by the unique needs of each business and its users. It's a step-by-step, iterative process. Businesses need to take an end-to-end view of the desired outcomes if any project is to prove successful. It's not as attractive a prospect as a one-click fix, but it's the reality of the situation. Okay. Realistic goals. Okay, if business leaders do go into an automation implementation with their eyes open, projects can provide huge benefits. PepsiCo saw a 67% reduction in time spent on reviews using our financial controls and automation platform, whilst Cox Communications reallocated 52,000 man-hours away from reconciliations and towards analysis. Results like these stem from realistic goals for projects and a recognition that not all processes are ripe for automation, even if they might appear to be. As with the two examples above, these projects focus on rules-based automation of routine, low-risk activities. The ultimate goal for any business considering automation should be to empower their employees to work better and focus on other tasks requiring human strengths, such as emotional intelligence, reasoning, and judgment. To quote Leslie Wilcox, professor of technology work, globalization, London School of Economics, RPA takes the robot out of human. And again, I thought it was a good article. It brings a lot of perspective in. You have a lot of people, out here talking about automation, but a lot of people don't bring perspective. A lot of people just tend to jump to a lot of this whole science fiction mindset of like giant supercomputers running whole corporations or factories, producing automobiles all on their own with only like 5 employees. And that's not really the case. When you talk about this type of stuff, you have to bring it into perspective, and you have to take a full 360-degree view. And I think this article did a really good job of that. But I want to know what y'all think. I'm gonna hit y'all up with more articles like this in the future, but this is just the first one. But let me know what y'all think is.